What's up, everybody? You're listening to another edition of the O Show podcast. It's episode 509, I believe. I don't really remember, but I think it's 509. We are presented by Mayweather Boxing and Fitness in Scottsdale, AZ. Mayweather Boxing and Fitness is a highly inclusive, intense fitness experience developed by the man on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, Floyd Money Mayweather himself, formulated with the perfect combination of boxing, strength, and cardio conditioning intervals designed to make you look good, feel good, and leave you with more than just a great sweat. So head on down to Mayweather Boxing and Fitness in Scottsdale, AZ. They got a couple of special events coming up that we'll promote later on in the week. We're also presented by betonline.ag. You could sign up for that 50% bonus by using the promo code capital BLEAV50. MLB season is underway. Opening day was last Thursday. All 30 teams off and running in this 2022 season. We are also presented by Eat Clean Phoenix, Arizona's #1 meal delivery prep service. You can make your orders Tuesday through Sunday by using the website www.eatcleanphoenix.com or by calling the number 602-573-7643. Again, that's 602-573-7643. We also want to give a special shout out to our boys over at State 48, the hottest apparel company here in State 48, the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, Arizona. The O Show proudly sponsored by State 48. It is episode 509 of the podcast. We are going back all the way to day one today. Declan, are you in the kitchen right now? Is that where you're at?
I'm in the kitchen.
He's in the kitchen. So for those of you wondering if this guy looks anything like me, this is my brother. This is Declan O'Hara. For anybody that is a day one listener of the show, you should know who he is. Was the co-host for about 3 episodes before he dipped, but he's back 500 and whatever episodes later. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course. You're making me sound terrible off the bat.
Well, I thought this was like a last minute thing too. I think literally last night I texted you. I'm like, podcast tomorrow? Because I knew you weren't doing anything because you tore the ligament in your finger, which means you weren't allowed to work or do anything. I saw you were at the Yankee game though on Sunday, so like at least you're getting out, you're active.
Yeah, they lost, but it's okay.
Yeah. The only game they lost that weekend too. It was Yankees Red Sox this weekend in the Boogie Down, the Bronx, New York. They won the first 2 games. You went Sunday night. Who'd you go with?
I went with James, Sam Twilly, Christian Bullock, and Rorik. If you remember Rorik, he's Megan's age.
Yeah. Name sounds familiar.
It was an interesting group, but it was a fun time. It was great to be back at the stadium. I didn't go to a single game last year, so.
I haven't been in almost 4 years, but you tore a ligament in your finger, dude, and you were told not to play the guitar, and I see you have the guitar strapped on anyways. So are you gonna rip some stuff?
I'm gonna rip. So this is what we're doing. We're throwing it back to day one. I got Hootie's part. You got the backup vocals. You ready? You're ready. Let's do it.
Oh shit!
Here we go. You know what to do. You know what to do. Every time I look at you, I go blind.
Every time I look at you, I go blind.
Every time I look at you, I go blind.
Every time I look at you, I go blind.
In the morning I get up
and I try to feel alive, but I can't. Every time I look at you, I go blind. I don't know what it is. You remember the words?
Just won't give me a chance. All right, we'll call it there. That was awesome.
That was good enough, dude. That was good enough. Oh, you're done now? That's all you're allowed to play for the next 3 months?
My thumb is in agonizing pain, but it's working.
It's bleeding as we speak, bleeding through the ace bandage. That's a lot of ace bandage for one torn ligament.
Dude, it's like a hard splint. Tomorrow I'm getting a cast.
Oh, that sucks.
Apparently, I'm not in pain. I haven't been in pain this entire time. I didn't feel it when it happened. They gave me all these painkillers. I haven't taken any because I'm not in any pain. Like, it's just inconvenient.
Oh, that's brutal. They're probably charging you a ton for that too. Dad's probably up the wall with just like
I don't know. Work paid for everything.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, work paid for everything. So it is what it is. But like everyone in the family's been texting me like, "Oh my God, honey, how are you?" I'm like, "I'm fine." I'm like, it's ridiculous.
Is anybody else home right now, or is it just you?
Just me and the dog.
Oh, where's Holly at?
I don't know.
I've been trying to get that dog on for years.
She's probably
She's
laying
got a
on
busy
Dad's
schedule.
pillow.
Yeah, she's got a busy schedule.
Yeah.
Hank, you got the picture of the first ever podcast that we ever did in our basement?
Uh,
So what was it? May 19th, 2018. There's the first Yankee game we ever went to, but here's the first ever episode of the O Show
Look at that
podcast
setup.
4 or 5 years ago.
That.
Look at that logo. We had the double mic, we had the CM Punk lightning bolt, the Baltimore Orioles O logo, guitars, Mariano Rivera's in there, CM Punk's in there, the Money in the Bank briefcase is in there, John Cena t-shirt, Randy Orton t-shirt, mics that barely worked.
That don't work at all. I don't even have those anymore.
Yeah, you weren't very good at coiling cables.
What do you mean? I'm an expert. Maybe not at that time.
What's the basement looking like these days? Is it still
Basement looks good. Well, I got a new mixer. I got a 24 channel mixer from a guy I knew in Nashville. It's like a $1,200 mixer. He gave it to me for $900, so it was a steal.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Take care of it though.
Oh yeah. Well, I use it a lot, and it sits in the same spot because it's like 50 pounds. But the basement's looking good.
That's good, dude. That was literally the first episode we ever did. As soon as we hit record, we had no idea what to say. We did not prep at all. Had like literally the day before, we're just like, we should start a podcast. Let's start a podcast. And then we hit record, and we're like, this is harder than it looks.
I still don't know what to say.
I don't even. Do you remember what we talked about? I think we talked like maybe a little Yankees.
I remember we did the intro with the Hootie song, and then I was like, we're talking everything baseball, wrestling, football, not soccer.
Fuck soccer. I still haven't talked about soccer on this show.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that. And it's probably so hard to listen to, but
yeah, I don't listen to any of those. The first like 150 episodes, I don't go back and listen to.
I remember we went to Guitar Center that day and got the little audio box that I still have. I don't use it, but I have it.
I think we had like videos somewhere of like us watching like Rodney Dangerfield, like one of his sets while we were doing the show, while Dad was recording in the background. But yeah, we've come a long way since then, man. It's evolved since you left.
Just a little bit.
You were gonna come on here when you were in Phoenix too, and you got sick, which was lame. We had Mikey though.
I got sick because I got too excited on my birthday, and I was slamming Coors Lights at the Grand Canyon at like 7 o'clock in the morning. So,
do we have a picture of that, Hank? Did I put that one in there? No, we didn't. It was we've played that video before of us shotgunning Stone Cold Steve Austin style on the Grand Canyon. Probably couldn't show that video now. Viewers are going up a little bit. That's illegal, apparently. Apparently, you can't throw beer cans off the Grand Canyon.
Like, yeah, I knew that was illegal then. It's called littering.
It was still a blast, though.
No, it was amazing.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I want to go back. I want to go back to Sedona, too. It was beautiful. Just the whole area is beautiful.
You should come out for the Justin Gaethje fight next month.
Next month? Yeah. If I'm not back at work, I have nothing to lose. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not doing anything. Like, you're just around the house.
No, I've been Antioch's in a couple weeks, so I've been helping out with that. I've been going to meetings and whatnot, talking to kids, and so I've been doing that. Apparently tomorrow, so I'm seeing the surgeon tomorrow, and apparently he might be able to sign something that says I can do like light work, because as of now, like by law, I'm a liability at work because it was a work-related injury, so I'm not allowed to work. But I could literally I work in retail. I could do my job with one hand. Undoubtedly, I could do my job with one hand.
How's the sales approach coming? Are you like a master salesman now?
Yeah. They call me the Wolf of Ramsey.
Sell me this hat.
Hey, I see you got a nice navy blue flap rim there. Can I interest you in a Mayweather boxing and fitness hat? It's super flexible. It's a snapback. You know, if your head grows. I can't say that.
If your head grows.
I can't say that.
You look like you consume a lot of alcohol. You know, your head's going to grow over time. Yeah, it grows with your ego, too.
Yeah. I mean, I mainly sell like tents and sleeping bags, hiking backpacks, stuff like that. Kayaks is the big one right now. We just got all of our new kayaks in for the spring and summer. And some of these, I don't know if you're familiar with Hobie. It's like the most expensive kayak you can get, and Hobie customers are the most snobby, obnoxious people on the planet. So I got to deal with them all the time. But I mean, I don't know. Part of sales is being able to like convince customers that you really know what you're talking about when you really don't. Like, like no matter what, whenever I sell a hiking backpack, someone will be like, "Can I ask you, like, do you know anything about this bag?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's a great bag. I have it. I actually hiked the entire Appalachian Trail with that bag." And they're like, "No way." I'm like, "Yeah, it's phenomenal." They're like, "I think I'm gonna get it." I'm like, "I think you should."
Let's tell me more about that story of you hiking the Application Trail.
Yeah, I've never. Yeah, well,
Appalachian Trail. I've never hiked it.
What did you say? What did you say?
Application Trail.
Looking to start a career? Hop on the Application Trail.
Play some Chester Benningfield. We would always listen to Linkin Park growing up, Robin, and my mom would be like, "Play some Chester Benningfield." You know how how every mom just like butchers every celebrity name? That was always the favorite. Yeah, Robin knew Chester Bennington. At what age? What age? Yeah, grab a mic.
He was a teenager playing here in our local bar scene with a band called Gray Days.
Yeah.
And that's when I officially met Chester way back then. Yeah, tragic, man.
I remember the day he died where we were, Declan. You were like lighting candles in the basement.
I was lighting candles.
Yeah, you lit candles in the basement while you were playing in your studio because Chester Bennington died.
Wow.
Because it was like probably a month before Cornell killed himself too.
Yeah. Well, Chester was the godfather of Chris's kids, and he sang Hallelujah at his funeral, and then he died. Well, Chris died a couple months before, or a month before Chester died, and they died in the same way, which was just terrible. I remember going to baseball practice that day, and I don't know if we're saying names, if we should say names, but our coach, I bet you could think of who I'm thinking of, was giving me so much shit because I showed up like practically in tears. I was so upset. And he was like, "Linkin Park's not even that good." I'm like, "You're such an asshole, dude. Like, I don't even want to be here. I don't even want to play for this team. Like, this is awful." I had tickets to go see Linkin Park and Blink-182 that August at Citi Field.
Yeah.
Well, he died in August.
Yeah, right?
It's coming up on 5 years.
Yeah, it is. Jeez, 5 years already.
5 years, really? When did that last album come out? It's been 5 years?
Probably the year before 2016. Are you talking about like One More Light?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 2016.
Wow. That's crazy.
Where were you when I told you that Hawkins died? I still can't believe that.
Dude. I was visiting Mike at Scranton, and we were walking to a party. So, like vibes were high. We were drinking, and it was great. And you texted me, you're like, "Taylor Hawkins dead at 50. The most subtle way you could tell me, by the way. Like, just threw it out there. I was so upset. But I like didn't say anything. I like kept it in, and I was just like, "Oh no." And and then the next day was rough.
Yeah, you guys were immediately like, "Don't tell Megan." I'm like, "I already told her. I already sent her the link." That was her favorite growing up.
Yeah, she was bawling her eyes out the whole day. I felt terrible.
Oh, did you FaceTime her?
Yeah, well, she called me because she didn't know if I knew. And she was super upset, as was I. But, I mean, yeah, that's just terrible. No more Foos. And you got to see them right before he passed.
I think it was their last show in the States because then they went over to Colombia and they did Lollapalooza.
Well, he died in Colombia, right? I think they did like Germany, Argentina, and maybe one other place. And then he died in Colombia.
Dude, I was watching that because they had it broadcasted, that last show that they did. Like how like over the top they were telling, like Grohl and Hawkins were telling each other that they loved each other, like constantly over and over and over.
Yeah, I mean,
they played every single hit
they
song.
Did that at your show too. They always do, like when they switch and Taylor.
Not as much as it was in that show though. But yeah, for sure. They definitely like joke
Well,
around.
did
Hawkins
you
does
see
his
that
whole
one of the last shows? Dave's voice was all messed up, so Taylor sung
was
times like
singing.
these.
Yeah,
Out of all songs he could have sang, he sang times like these. I watched that the next morning. I was in Mike's dorm room and I was watching that and I just started crying. And his like roommate walked in. He was like, "Hey, Dad, I'm sorry," and just like walked away. And I was like, "Whoa, it's okay."
that one definitely like there's a few deaths like that. I mean, a lot of deaths have happened this year already. Frickin' Gilbert Gottfried died yesterday. You know,
Yesterday, yeah. I was
uh,
watching Gilbert Godfrey highlights last night.
but
Amazing.
uh, what Bob Saget early in the year too. Kobe Bryant, probably the biggest death in sports history, probably like one of the more notable deaths, at least from what we've seen right before COVID hit in 2020 with the plane crash and 3 families dying. But like Kobe Bryant, like I don't know about you, like that name probably hadn't entered my mind in like a couple of years. Like we didn't grow up huge like NBA. We were not like a big NBA family, right? So like when that
No,
happened, I was like, oh
we
my
weren't a
God, that's a
huge
huge
NBA
death.
family. But it's not like we were unfamiliar with Kobe Bryant. Obviously, we knew who Kobe Bryant was and we knew what his legacy was. I remember that day. I was playing rec basketball. That was my senior year of high school, and everyone, yeah, a bunch of kids were like wrapping like wrist tape around, and they were like 2-4 for life. Like it was, yeah,
No,
like
but
it
like
was
that was a huge death, but like probably not
huge.
a name I hadn't thought about. Like Taylor Hawkins, him ripping on a drum kit probably enters my mind at least 3 times a day of just thinking
Yeah,
thoughts,
yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Just like
No,
naturally. So like when I saw that, I'm like, you got to be kidding. Like what? Like immediately, I'm like drug overdose.
yeah,
They found like
obviously,
10,
yeah, that's
10
what I thought.
substances in his system,
Yeah, yeah, opioids.
and they'll only share like 4 of them, which tells you that there's probably way
Yeah,
bigger
I mean
things
that
that
was
he did.
devastating. I mean, they never. There was not too much information like as like we were watching the foods. Obviously, in 2003, Taylor overdosed in Paris. The song "On the Men" from the acoustic "In Your Honor" album, that's about Taylor. Dave didn't publicly not acknowledge that until years later. I'm starting to now think that "Let It Die," if you're familiar with that song, is also about Taylor. I always thought it was about Kurt Cobain, and Dave has always denied that. But like the opening lyric, "Beautiful veins and bloodshot eyes, why'd you have to go and let it die?" Like could very much be about Taylor. But there wasn't much information like as the career went on, or at least when we were growing up listening to them, like the 2011 era, like throughout, that he was clean necessarily. I don't know if like there was ever any public record saying he was sober. But if you watch any interview with him, I mean, he's super happy and jolly, but he's always like tapping his foot and he's super shaky. He never knows what to do with his hands. So I mean, I think it was a constant battle, which just sucks. But I mean, it really sucks for Dave. This is now the second, best friend slash bandmate that he's
Yeah,
had to deal
I think
with.
someone wrote like a drummer who lost his front man, who then became the front man and then lost his drummer.
Yeah, literally. I mean, but they were best friends, man. I mean, it's so sad to even think about.
So you think that's it? You think there's like Grohl? I think in the long run will always be. I mean, he's Dave Grohl. He's bigger than his band, whether that's a hot take or not. Like, do you think the Foo Fighters are done?
Foo Fighters are done. I could see like I mean years down the road, probably like a decade down the road, maybe like a Dave solo acoustic tour, in which case I will 100%
That's what
be
I'm
there.
saying. Like, he'll definitely continue going solo. He's even said in the past that he did a solo thing once back in like 2016 or 2017 before they came out with the Gold album with like
Mhm.
Sky's Neighborhood and Run and all that. Like he's like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
so much easier than working with
But
a
I mean,
band.
this is different. I mean, think about it. When Kurt Cobain died, for that whole year before he recorded the original Foo Fighters demos, Dave Grohl said he couldn't even listen to the radio. He couldn't listen to music. He couldn't pick up an instrument. I could only imagine what he's going through right now and what his family's going through. I mean, his kids are still so young. Harper went on tour with the Foo Fighters. I'm sure Taylor was like a second father to her. So,
Well, who's
yeah.
the old Violet? Is that the oldest? She sang at like a Grammys event in honor of Taylor
Yeah, I don't know
Hawkins.
who's older, Harper or Violet, but I know those are the two daughters.
Yeah, yeah. They won't do anything for God knows how long.
I mean, if they announced a Foo Fighters show with a different drummer, I'm not going to that. Like, no way. It's not like what?
I don't know who they'd even like consider.
It's like a
I heard like there was like false rumors of like, and they're false rumors because like they canceled everything, right? But like Travis Barker going on tour with them if they needed him, like that wouldn't make any sense.
Shot. No shot. I'm not going to see that. If they got William Goldschmidt, is he still around?
Could you imagine? Full circle.
They're like song and Dave just stops and he's like, "You're playing it wrong."
So what was the story there? Like he was the original drummer and Dave like
he was the original drummer. So the first Foo Fighters record was Dave Grohl on everything, and then he hired William Goldschmidt and Nate Mendel from a Seattle band called Sunny Day Real Estate. He grabbed them from that band because they broke up, and then he got Chris Shiflett, who turned down a Guns N' Roses audition because he wanted to audition for the Foo Fighters, which is just crazy. And then they toured 95 and 96 and then went back into the studio in 97 to record The Color and the Shape. William Goldschmidt recorded every song on the album on the drums. And Dave Grohl was like, "That's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong." So without telling Goldschmidt, he had Nate take him out to lunch while they were in the studio, and Dave re-recorded all of the drums. So then William eventually found out and quit. I think Dave Grohl has since said like, that was not the right thing to do. Like I should have just talked to him.
Is that true that he had Nate take him out to lunch and then he
was
went
either
back?
Nate or Pat Smear? They took him out to lunch, and while they were away, Dave re-recorded all the drums. So everything you hear on the Color of the Shape is Dave Grohl on the drums. Not the right thing to do. Dave then said like, "I'm a dick for doing that," but. So yeah, so William Goldschmidt quit. They put out The Color and the Shape, and in '97, Taylor was touring with Alanis Morissette, and they met at some festival, and like instantly hit it off. And he was like, "Hey, I want you to join my band," and then the rest is history. So Taylor didn't record a studio album with the Foo Fighters until '99, which was "There's Nothing Left to Lose," which was the album that they rented that house in Virginia. I don't know if you were with us, but I've been to that house.
I was not there.
Really,
I definitely would have remembered that.
Yeah, really cool. We went to the house. It was like you pull into like a little gravel driveway, and then there's these just like wooden steps that go down, and the house is just like covered by the trees and wilderness. It's just a little like colonial house that they recorded the entire album in, which is my favorite album.
Was that the first? Was Grohl and the Foo Fighters like your original inspiration? Because I knew we went through that Mean Green Day phase when we were really young.
Yeah. So we always talk about, like my friends and I always talk about like our first love with music. Like Sean, his first real love was the Eagles, and that's not until we were in like high school. But my first love, obviously, and yours was Green Day when we were really young, which was a mistake because I got in trouble in preschool flipping everybody off.
That's how we learned curse words in the middle finger.
Yeah.
And how to rebel against authority. That whole American Idiot record.
I used to go into preschool and be like, "George W. Bush is an asshole," and everyone was like, "What are you? You're like 7 years old." I was like, "I don't know. I heard it in a video," but it was it was Green Day and then the Foo Fighters, and the Foo Fighters lasted forever. Obviously, I still love the Foo Fighters. Green Day, I listened to Longview this morning. I don't know why, but like Green Day, like I don't listen to Green Day anymore, but the Foo Fighters I'll always love. Yeah.
Green Day had American Idiot, The Bullet in the Bible, the music video documentary, or the concert documentary they did of that one show that they did in London, England, is what turned us on. Watching that, I was like mesmerized by that. Dude, I was Billy Joe Armstrong for Halloween like 4 years in a row after that.
Yeah, you would dye your hair blue and you would wear the black button down and the red tie. I remember that.
The red clip-on tie. Probably still have that in the closet somewhere.
Yeah, you might. Yeah, definitely. At that time, I loved Green Day, but I was still dressing up as the Wiggles, which is a totally different dynamic.
Mom and Dad bought you like that Wiggles red car. Or like someone got you that for your birthday, and like you were still in that stage where you definitely should have been listening to the Wiggles, but then Dad introduced us to Green Day at the exact same time.
That was like,
when you were like 3 years old.
But it's rock, like they'll like it.
Said it was one of the worst parenting decisions he made at a young age.
and then taking Megan and I to see Bad Grandpa in theaters when we were like 10 years old.
Mom
But
almost bought me Ted on Blu-ray because she thought it was about a teddy bear.
she was like, "Look at the cute little teddy bear."
And then we went to go see Neighbors with Seth Rogen and Zac Efron in theaters because she's like, "Oh, a movie about neighbors."
She's so
Do we have any other good mom stories that we could tell?
We have a bunch. Dad did give me a warning before he left the house. He was like, "Don't get too personal about because she'll be devastated if we say anything bad about her."
No, nothing bad. Like let's think of something protective. Like that one time the cop came to the door with my driver's license.
Oh, well, I mean, that's any parent. A cop knocked on the door, mom answered, and the cop took his top hat off and was like, "Is your son Jack O'Hara?" And she had a heart attack because she thought you were dead. And he was just like, "He left his wallet at the A&P or whatever it was." I use that wallet, by the way. That's the wallet I use. And it's
That
cursed.
wallet's got bad juju, man. That was
Bad
from
juju.
I got that from a friend who got it from like a friend's cousin back in middle school. It's got like all the Egyptian, symbols on it.
No,
I've
it's not
lost it.
Egyptian. It's Peruvian. It's Machu Picchu.
I lost that thing on an airplane that we retrieved. I lost it on a subway in New York City that we somehow retrieved, and then I lost it at a Weiss, and the police came to our house
That's
and gave it
the
back
one,
to
it
us,
was
so we
Weiss.
can't get rid of it.
I
Yeah,
think you lost it
exactly.
on a train like multiple times.
I lost it on a train and a subway. I lost it on the train going into Manhattan, and then I lost it one time going to a Yankee game taking the subway.
The other day at the Yankee game, I lost James's debit card. He had to cancel it.
Oh, that's not good.
Not good.
Did you guys
yeah.
drive there, or did you take the subway?
We took the train.
Oh, did you? Did you see any of our infamous subway rats? We love the
I
subway
didn't.
rats.
I was looking out. I was looking out for whatever. I dreamed about rats the other night. I don't know why.
Can you tell me about this dream and then tell the story of the other time you dreamed about rats?
I'll just tell you that the other night, for whatever reason, there was just rats involved in my dream. I don't know why, but the story you're talking about was it was probably like a 7 o'clock game, Yankee game. It was just regular season night game in the middle of the summer. We got home around like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, the usual. And I remember as you were falling asleep, I was in your room playing WWE 2K. I was doing create a character. I was making Jeff Hardy. I like downloaded a picture of his face and like molded it to the guy, gave him like his whole move set, whatever. And I was automatically like sleep deprived. I went to bed at like 4:30 and I'm sleeping. This is what everybody in the house thinks. Everybody thinks that Holly climbed under my covers and rubbed against my foot. I don't think that's true because she doesn't do that. Like if she goes under the covers, she's laying like up against your chest because she wants to feel your heartbeat.
Yeah.
She's not going all
Holly
the
is
way-
our 4-pound cockapoo dog that could be mistaken for a rat because she's that small.
I call her the snow fox. She's a little snow fox. But yeah, so for whatever I was dreaming about the rats because that day on the subway, which is another story, we were on the way back and we were at a stop and I like looked down and there was a pile of garbage, like garbage bags. And these like 3 rats came out, 14 pounds a pop. They were huge. And it's like silent on the subway. And I'm like 12. And I was like, rats. And everyone on the subway around us was like, what the fuck? What the like freaking out? I was like, no, outside. And I like caused chaos. So like that was the story until we got home. And then I'm so sleep deprived. I finally fall asleep. I'm sleeping about rats. I wake up. I feel something brush against my leg. I swear to God, to this day, something brush against my leg, and I freaked out. I was just like screaming bloody murder. I was just rat. My mom thought like someone broke in and was like attacking me. I instinctually ran to your room, which is all the way down our hall. By the time I got to your room, you were standing on top of your bed like this. Like your head practically hitting the ceiling fan. You were like, what's going on? You're freaking out. I'm screaming. It's 4
Yeah,
o'clock in the
fuck
morning.
that. I'm not a rat guy.
And the only reason I might believe that it was our dog is because we were both standing on your bed, like in a standing fetal position, like freaking out. And then here comes Holly, just like trickles in the room.
Oh, yeah, we
like,
saw the shadow like creeping closer. I'm like, oh my God, there it is. There it is. It was our 4-pound dog. I definitely think it was her just like literally rubbing up against your feet and you were dreaming about
Yeah,
rats
but she
and
never
you're paranoid.
does that. She never goes like all the way under the covers. like all the way down to my feet. Like, what the hell? Unless she knew that I was tweaking about rats, and she was like, "I'm gonna mess with this kid."
Probably one of the more unmanly things we could have ever done, because like mom was the one checking and we were like on the bed in the fetal position, just like, I'm not doing this, fuck rats. And she lifted the covers, it was just Holly wagging her tail.
That was terrifying. I don't care, manly or unmanly. I'm not dealing with a 14-pound rat. That thing will fuck you up. I don't care who you are. It's terrifying.
Hey Hank, while you're over there, go to the internet and look up like 14-pound rats. I want to see what those things look like. If they're as
look
big
up
as
look up like big New York City rats. They're huge.
where do we have them here?
I had 2 of them in my house a couple months ago.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
roof rats.
In your
Oh,
house?
roof rats.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
the worst.
Yeah. And
were they like eating through the drywall or anything like that, or were they just up there?
What happened was they got in through a hole in the plumbing and made their way up underneath the stove in the kitchen and chewed holes. And we got the mail, and you're not kidding. Those things are nasty. I trapped him in a glue trap, and I couldn't touch him. I had nothing. Went and grabbed the neighbor. I said, "Can you help us out? We got this big, huge," and I'm not kidding, guys. It probably weighed about, a couple pounds, but he was huge, long, and fat. And he was pissed off as all hell. So had the neighbor come in with his grabber, and he got him out. He goes, "Damn, that thing's pissed off." I'm like, "Now you see why I'm not touching it?"
Yeah.
And then, a couple of days later, the pregnant female came in, so she was easy to catch because she was slow and fat. So unfortunately, we ended that family and plugged the hole and haven't had rats since.
Yeah, God bless you. Haven't had, like, they're scared. Like, their teeth are huge. They're probably got rabies or whatever.
I love pet rats, but that's just gross, man. In your house, pooping in your towel drawers or climbing up and eating holes in your potato chip packages, and you're like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
And you find
I worked at a pet store over the summer, and we had pet rats, and they were pretty big. They were albino white rats with like red eyes. Obviously, no one ever bought them because they were hideous, but I liked them.
They're cool.
They are really cool, but the rats we're talking about are like brown and black, and like they have like fangs, and they're no good.
Oh yeah, they'll bite you.
Oh yeah.
All right. So Hank just pulled up a picture. He'll pull it up on the screen for you right now, Declan. But this thing's terrifying. What is this?
Dude, what am I looking at?
I don't know. Hank loves this sort of stuff.
Is that like a
But
bat
I don't know
rat?
what this is.
That?
It's got, are those claws? Are those wings? What the hell is that thing?
No, look, it's like impaled through the center. No, it's a rake. He stabbed it with a rake.
Oh, that makes so much more sense. But that is a huge rat, if that's the case.
But that's what they look like in New York City. That's what they look like. I remember there was a time when we drove home from the Barclays Center. It was probably like Summerslam or something, and we were at a. Do you remember this? We were at a stoplight, and a whole like family of rats came running out of the sewer, and they were all like little rats like this. They all came out at the same time. There was probably like 20 of them, and then there was one that was massive, and it was struggling to keep up. He was like, "Guys, wait for me!" And he came out,
rat.
and had to be like 8 pounds, like super fat, just like trucking along. I was like, "Oh my, that's like a little puppy." It was like a bunny rabbit. It was crazy.
So I'm saying every time I saw there'd be mouse in our furnace room in our basement, like I could never like look at Holly the same way again because she's literally the exact same description as what a rat would be.
Yeah. Well, the little mice we have in the base, I see those things all the time. Still, they're just like little white mice. That's fine. Those don't bother me. Like rats.
Yeah. No.
I don't mess with rats. I don't like, I'm not really scared of animals, but like when rats get to a certain size, I don't mess with them. And when spiders get to a certain size, I run like it's over. I'm not dealing with that.
I think I had a roof rat in my dorm room in college because it was like scratching through the drywall, and it was just falling flat on my face as I was sleeping, and I could hear it.
Ooh.
I'm like, Judgment Day is coming, and no one else in my room believed me. They thought I was crazy. There's no way there's something up there. You're just hearing things.
They get in the walls.
Yeah, that's where they live.
Oh my God!
Especially drywall, because they can easily just like chomp their way through it and keep going.
Hey, Hank, is Hank, come in here. See if you can hear me. Hank. Hank.
Hank.
Stepped out.
Hank.
Hank.
Hank. Hank. Hank. Come over here. Come over here. I don't think Hank's ever been on camera before, too. He might be a little camera shy. But I want him to tell you some of the things that he does. He likes to scorpion hunt. He does all this stuff. Please take your time. Here. Oh, nobody's doing the camera.
Yeah, nobody's doing the camera. Camera guy went somewhere else. Look, I'm too
What's
tall for
going
you
on?
anyway. Hi there. Who are you?
I'm Jack's brother, Declan.
Yeah, I know.
Uh,
How you
you
doing,
asked,
Declan?
but okay.
Sorry, just trying to confuse you. All right, why am I here?
Tell him about you scorpions. He actually eats scorpions.
They're okay. They're not like delicious or anything. Yeah, scorpion.
Scorpion?
Yeah, scorpions. They just taste like sawdust with salt on them. There was salt on them,
Why
so I
do
guess
people eat them? They got there's no flavor?
there's a lot of protein in them.
Yeah, okay.
Good for that stuff. But yeah, no scorpion hunting. Back at my old house, scorpions every other night. We would get like seven or 8 a week. So from night to night, I would just go through with a black light because they glow under the black light pretty
Oh.
hard. Yeah.
What's like the average shot, like a scorpion? Like how big are they actually? Like I really don't.
Down here, we get the small ones. So
Right.
about the size of your thumb is as big as they would get. They're
Okay.
pretty small guys, but those are the ones you got to look out for because you never see them coming.
Right.
And the smaller ones are, from what I hear, they're more venomous. Is that right, Robin?
Well, I've been stung 7 times by the big ones and 4 times by the babies, and the babies were less painful. It felt like I was stepping on thumbtacks. But the big ones, yeah, those hurt like hell.
Yeah, they're not fun.
No.
So what kind of like reaction do you get from the venom?
I couldn't tell you. I've never been stung myself. Robin?
Good.
The,
Yeah.
the first time I got stung, I had no idea. I had been stung for 2 days, and I just felt sick to my stomach and parts of my, because I'd been stung by the hand, so I didn't know, and just the whole arm was like numb for like the whole day,
Really?
and just a little sick to my stomach. And when I,
Was that from one of the big ones, or that's
Yeah.
from the little small ones?
yeah, the little ones just felt like I was stepping on a thumbtack, and it was unfortunate that that happened a couple years later. That the mother had them on the back when she snuck in her house because they're an exoskeleton, so they flatten themselves and can get in basically anywhere. So when you live in a house with scorpions, you carry your black light. You always wear flip-flops or shoes so that you have that extra protection against them because they will just sting you wherever you are. They don't care. You're in their territory.
Yeah. They're really
that.
attracted to water, too. If you have a ton of them in your house, you probably got a water leak somewhere.
Really? Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, there's no water out here, so they're going to look for water.
And they also travel through block walls. So that's another thing you got to watch out for. And always keep everything away from your block walls when you have scorps.
So like the small ones, you say it's like stepping on a thumbtack, but do they give you any sort of like, did you get sick from that or no?
Not really, because I think I had already developed some sort of immunity. I'd been stung 4 times at that point. And then those little 3 guys, it just felt like stepping on thumbtacks.
Yeah,
And
Robin is a badass.
I don't know that. I just know that I survived the first one, so I'm not going to the hospital to pay for the anti-venom.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But
All right. We all done here, Jack? Am I free to go?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Thank you.
Nice
Thanks,
to meet you.
Hank.
gonna have to do some post-editing on this one, boy.
That's Hanku. That's Hanku, the video guy. The guy I'm always telling to turn off the lights. Dude, get out of the camera. What are you doing? Oh, no, really?
Did you unplug them? They might
What,
need
can
the.
you not hear me?
I can, but you need some help, Jack?
Can you hear me, Declan?
I can, yeah.
Okay, I can hear you. Yeah, we're good.
It's
I
about
figured
hearing
it out.
yourself
There was
more
one
than-
episode like a year ago. It was the guy. His name was Benny Goodman. We were listing off like all of those musicians, like pictures, and I accidentally unclipped the
Oh, so
the
you,
headphone, so I couldn't hear him at all. I was just blindly like nodding. because I couldn't hear him.
Oh man, you should have said something. That's rough.
Well, I was
Yeah.
trying. I was like trying to figure out while I was making eye contact with him.
So you need a longer leash, is what you need.
Yeah, and that's literally how I signed off. I'm like, thanks so much for coming on, man. Like he could have been talking over me, and I had no idea. I just like got up and walked away, and then just told him about it later. He's like, yeah, whatever. But yeah, so that's Hank. That was I think that was the first time he ever willingly came on camera, so that was pretty cool. You want to stop talking about rats and scorpions though for a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I love me my rats and scorpions. so.
You can keep the scorpions.
Did you watch WrestleMania, Declan?
I didn't watch it live, but I went back and watched multiple matches. Yeah.
What was your favorite match?
You think you can guess?
Was
It's
it
night one?
was it McAfee?
No, but that was
That
the
was. I think
same-
he stole the show. It was
was
Pat
insane.
McAfee versus Austin Theory, and then Pat McAfee in the most stupendous match in WrestleMania history against the 77-year-old Vince McMahon. Incredible.
Pat claimed that night he drank like 30 beers and had to fly back to LA or wherever to do his show.
Yeah, I think he does his show in like Indianapolis or Pittsburgh or
Oh,
somewhere
okay,
out
yeah,
in the Midwest. But yeah,
wherever. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Kudos to him, man. That was well that suplex he hit off the top rope was not the first time. He did that in NXT one time. The same thing. He jumped to the top
he
rope.
faced
and then
Adam
his-
Cole at Takeover one year.
Yeah, yeah, against Adam Cole. It was amazing. Incredible.
Just
But
a
I didn't know
super
that until
athlete.
after I saw the
I didn't
WrestleMania.
know that he's had like a WWE ring in his home for years and that he's been training for years on end. Like that was one of his original dreams growing up was to be a WWE superstar before he became a punter in the
I didn't know that until
NFL.
right now. I had no idea.
Like that
That's
was in the promo package before he faced Austin Theory at Mania. Like he was actually like they gave him a ring during his playing career and he's always been training for matches.
It's like an actual like WWE ring, or it's
Yeah.
just like it's just like some random
Like a
ring?
big ring that they had to come in and set up in like his warehouse somewhere in his backyard.
That's crazy.
Like that stole the show, I thought. Like for everything that he's accomplished in the last year or two since coming to WWE,
Oh, well, I
let
mean, the
alone
crowd
his own
was definitely
show.
Super into it. Yeah, the crowd was definitely really into it. But no, my favorite match was Cody Rollins. It was awesome to see.
Yeah.
I have a theory, man. I don't know. Like, I feel like AEW and WWE is owned by the same person. Whether Vince stepped down and Tony Khan owns it, or it's the other way around. Because Cody debuted at WrestleMania with the same music from AEW. AEW prior to WrestleMania owned the copyrights to that music. And a couple weeks before that, Jeff Hardy debuted in AEW with the Hardy Boys theme song, which has been iconic in WWE for years. Are they selling shit to each other, or does someone behind the scenes own both companies?
I think the Hardy Boys own that music. And they probably bought out the rights to it.
I don't know. Like John Cena doesn't even own his own name.
Yeah, that's
so,
bizarre to me.
Yeah,
I can't believe
couldn't imagine that.
I
the
can't
Hardy
believe Vince
Boys own
McMahon
that
convinced him to buy out his own name.
Yeah,
Like if he wanted, like not that he would go anywhere else, but he'd have to actually pick a wrestling name.
even
because
though
he
his
doesn't own the
birth
rights to
name
his own
is
name.
John Cena. It was so fun. We took Mike down the shore last week with one of our friends, Leah, who knows nothing about professional wrestling. And Mike put on in sequence every single CM Punk promo leading up to the 2011 Money in the Bank match. And she was like, "Can you please turn this off?" And Mike's like repeating the line. She's like, "I'd like to think this company would be better after Vince McMahon is dead. That is just golden. That's the most amazing thing I've ever heard in my life." And she was like, "This is ridiculous." He was like, "He's the man." It was so funny. We watched it all, though. It was so nostalgic watching that, because I remember that we were in Boston for the Go Home Raw. That was our first ever wrestling event. And then our family came to Jersey and we rented Money in the Bank.
And that was
remember-
before we were like even like remotely narcs when it came to like rumor mills, checking
No,
storylines
we were
beforehand.
too young. We were too young to like know to research.
So like that was like the one pure main event match: John Cena versus CM Punk for the WWE title. If Punk win, he was gonna walk out of Chicago with the title. Like that was the first legitimate match that we watched, thinking like, oh, of course Cena's gonna win. There's no way that Punk leaves.
I think that was the first storyline in general that we were like emotionally invested in, because we started watching consistently that like prior spring, we were in Orange Lake, and I randomly threw on Monday Night Raw. And at the time, you were like, because you were the older brother, you were like, "This is dumb. This is fake. You're." And then I remember Triple H was out cutting a promo, and the gong hit, and Taker came out, and you were just like, "This is incredible."
I snuck
And
it for a long time.
I
I
know,
remember watching it and hearing Dad like come down the stairs and around the corner. I'd like flip back to the Yes Network in the Yankee game.
because you couldn't fathom like taking back all the shit you gave me. Because you would have to deal with like Sean and I running around the house with the plastic belts wrestling each other, and secretly you were like, "What's gonna happen?" You were watching. You were so invested.
Storylines are
But
great, man. Remember that one time I almost broke your neck and paralyzed you by giving you an
I thought
F5?
my mom freaking out. I still tell that story.
That was
For
probably one of
whatever
the
reason,
scarier 10 seconds of my entire life.
well, for whatever reason, we were wrestling in my room. There's not a lot of space in there anyway, and we were probably like 11 and 13, maybe you were maybe 14, and for whatever reason, we thought we could pull off an F5 like we knew what we were doing, and I landed like a pancake on the back of my shoulders and was just stuck there.
Yeah,
And
for anybody that doesn't, so Brock Lesnar does this move called the F5. It's a fireman's carry, and then he just flips them around like a tornado.
yeah, he does like
And you're
he does
supposed to
like
land on like your hip.
he like starts this way and then he comes back and throws you over his head. He lands on his back, his opponent lands on their stomach. I somehow landed on the top of my shoulders. That's Jack's fault. But I was stuck.
You
Like I was
didn't give it
legitimately,
all. I had to do all the work. But back in the day, that's what we thought happened. So
yeah, I didn't
we
think
had
it was
no
a team
idea.
effort. One person did the move to the other person. But that's what I should have said. I should have sent you the footage of me and Mike wrestling in middle school.
What, him doing like the Ryback feed me more? I remember watching that.
Well, yeah. Oh, that was amazing. But we used to have like legitimate and like no disqualification matches. We used to have those little like baby acoustic guitars that weren't even like playable. We got them from like Toys R Us. And in the heat of the moment, because all of our buddies were in the basement watching, like cracking up, recording us. So Mike was, you know, he was high off of that, and he picked up one of those guitars and just slammed it over my back, and it shattered, and the strings like whipped me across the back, and I was like, "Dude, what are you doing?" I got so mad because it was like, you took that too far. But he would hit me with F5s. I would hit him with tombstones. It was so dangerous. I remember one time we after a match, we both gave each other bloody noses, and he came upstairs and just took a bottle of Advil. We were like 13, and he just dumped like the whole thing onto a pizza box and just grabbed a handful and just slugged him back. And he was like, "Buddy, you really hit me hard there. You really hit me hard."
Such an
I
old
will tell you
man.
this though. I have two goals before I turn 30. One is to do stand-up comedy, which you beat me to. Kudos. And number two is to have a professional wrestling match somewhere. I will do that.
What do you think of that, Robin?
Just don't ask me to get in the ring. I'm retired.
Do you think that's a smart choice, though?
Do it while you're young.
Yeah,
So
right?
you
Like
can
I'm still
heal.
young. I can
Yeah.
still take a hit. I think
Yeah.
like it's not like I'm gonna be going up against like someone crazy. It's
You
gonna
have
be
to be
some
crazy to
random.
wrestle.
Yeah.
You have to be.
What, just some like local indie show? You thinking? Or
Yeah, 100%. Like I'll completely job the match. I don't care. I'll get like absolutely wiped out as long as I get to step in the ring.
like that's what's cool about like the celebrity, like Pat McAfee, like legitimately trained for a match. Bad Bunny legitimately trained for a match. But like you look
Yeah.
at like the celebrity, like Seth Green that one year, or like John Hader, like guys who like stepped in the ring but like just completely got like their job was to job and just get their
Yeah, which
asses
is
kicked.
just
Like
like
it's cool.
it's cool, but like also scary. Like you could easily get so hurt doing that.
Like Jon Stewart getting the attitude adjustment from John Cena that one year at the Barclays Center.
That was really cool to watch.
Like I
But
wonder if that really
he
hurt.
gave Cena a chair shot. So like I wonder like how many times, because they always tell you to like get hit below your shoulders, but not like your middle back. You want to get hit in the upper back because that's like the meatier part of your back and it can take the most impact. So I wonder if they like he must have smacked Cena before the show like 100 times until they got it right. You know what I mean?
He
Like,
just didn't
'cause they
feel it
didn't
at
just
all.
send Jon Stewart out there like just hit him with a chair because they're not like he doesn't know what he's doing.
I mean, I wonder how many of those. I mean, there are a million. I'm just not thinking of them off the top of my head of stories of like celebrities coming in and just completely botching stuff like that and hurting people. Like,
Oh yeah,
did
it's
you
definitely
see
happened.
what's his face, Rick Boogs or whatever his name is?
Rick Boggs.
Is that who it is who messed up Biggie? Because Biggie broke his neck. Did you see that?
Yeah, I watched. I didn't recognize the wrestler. I know the name though, so that might be who it is. But that was hard to watch. That made me cringe. That's so sad. But I think he's all right, right?
I think he's all right. I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna have to retire, which sucks. Because they
Really?
abruptly ended his WWE title reign for Brock Lesnar, and then that happened like probably a month after.
You think he's done? He's
He
not
was
gonna
like on
wrestle?
top of the world. Yeah, I think they're saying that it's similar to what Edge went through, where it's like he's not gonna get surgery, but it's repairable. Like it won't grow back the same way. It'll always be like uneven. So he's probably never gonna
Ugh.
take the risk of competing ever again.
Oh my god, that's the part about professional wrestling that just like
That's what I'm
bothers
saying.
me.
You get in the ring one time, you go through a table, something doesn't feel right.
Like yeah, like Biggie in his career has probably wrestled what 3,000 matches, including house shows and everything, and all it takes is one botch and your whole career's over.
What do you think is like the most memorable and emotional wrestling match we ever watched as kids? Besides Punk Cena, because that was like the first one where it was pure in our minds. Like, oh my god, I
Do you
can't
mean
believe that
like
happened.
watched live in person or just like watched?
Just watched. Watched live in person. We've seen some good matches. I don't think we ever saw any like legendary matches.
I don't think we saw any like matches that like changed the course of the company. We didn't really.
That one, the first event we went to at TD Garden in Boston, that promo that Punk cut on Vince McMahon, that is still forever in time legendary.
Oh yeah, the contract signing. Yeah, I mean that's probably one of the most legendary things we've ever seen. I'm pretty sure Dad's about to walk in the door, just so you know.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, I told him this is where I'm gonna be. He was like, "I'm going to the store." So now I think he's back. But I'm trying to think. I remember when the Hardy Boys returned, at least for me, like I was.
Oh
freaking,
yeah, that was big.
I was freaking out. That was amazing. Styles debut, that was crazy. The Royal Rumble 2016.
I think
trying to
Sting coming back or Sting debuting at Survivor Series was really
Survivor
because
Series,
that entire like 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series elimination match was probably the most well thought out and well written matches that they put together in a long time when it came to that. There were so many twists and turns.
Nice hat. Yeah. Dad says nice hat.
Thanks, Dad.
That almost sounds like he's in the bathroom. It did.
Sorry, it just threw me off for a second. Survivor Series 2014. That was incredible. I mean, my brain is automatically going to WrestleMania because you would think that's where the most memorable match would be, but definitely not. Oh, man.
Here are the ones that we saw. We saw WrestleMania 29. We saw Cena versus Rock, which was a cool match, but I don't think like the paradigm shift of matches. Taker Punk was cool. You didn't go to 32 because you were sick. 103,000 screaming fans at AT&T Stadium. You were not there.
That was horrible. I still can't even. Yeah. Hey, look at that.
Hey, you got to go back. What was that? A year later for Thanksgiving. A couple of Cowboy fans.
I think that was like 2 years later. That was my sophomore year of high school.
Yeah, I just remember like all of like it's so far so good. Like not really like he's not missing out on anything big. And then Stone Cold Steve Austin came out and it was like the biggest pop I've ever heard in my entire life.
I got to see Stone Cold come out and hit the McMahons with stunners.
Yeah, I can't say I saw that. That's iconic. That'll like forever be an iconic moment. That was a
Yeah.
huge pop that night at the Barclays Center too.
Oh, huge. The only thing that sucked about being at the Barclays Center that night is they also had the other half of Raw going on at the Manhattan Center.
Oh yeah.
So
That was a complete I thought that was going to be so cool, and it wasn't.
they announced at the beginning of the show the DX reunion and Undertaker returns, but they did not tell us where. So like all night I was waiting for DX and I was waiting for the Undertaker, and all the lights went out and everyone got so hyped, and they just like broadcasted on the big screen, and fans just started walking out. I stayed though. I stayed.
Well, we
Yeah.
did see Cena versus Styles at SummerSlam,
Yeah.
which was like
What
match
was
of the year.
That was 2016.
There's us ringside at 205 Live.
I remember that being cool because we got to see, who did we see wrestle in that? Because we got to go down and sit ringside. I think it was Bobby Roode, and that was soon after he debuted. So that was cool.
Yeah. Before they totally botched his booking.
That was a cool SmackDown. We had really good seats, but it wasn't the main event was like a 6-man tag match. It wasn't anything
Right.
special.
That's when like it wasn't that like Dolph Ziggler like walked out. It was like Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura versus whoever
Was
at the
Jinder
time.
Mahal the champion then, or was that after that run?
That
think
was
it was
after. That was that was after the fact.
Was
I think
Shinsuke
AJ Styles was the champion.
Styles? Yeah, okay. Yeah, but I remember that. That was cool. Most memorable thing ever. Ready? Raw at the Prudential Center. I took the boys. I took Mike, James, and Brandon to go to Monday Night Raw, and Goldust turned on R-Truth. It was devastating.
Biggest heel turn in the company's history.
Yeah, no, but that was really cool because we had really good seats, and I think that was the first time that I saw the Hardy Boys wrestle ever. So I was like ecstatic for that. And we also saw Styles versus Reigns. It was just a one-on-one match. Reigns went over, but it was a really good match. I remember that.
I think you weren't there that night, but Extreme Rules. I was sitting ringside with some of my friends from high school, and we saw Styles versus Reigns in an Extreme Rules match.
Yeah, you were on TV.
Probably the coolest match I ever saw up close and personal like that. Got to slap Roman Reigns in the back, and then Seth Rollins returned at the end of the night after he missed like 9 months because of an ACL tear, and he came back, and we got to see that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you saw Rollins return that night. That was incredible.
Everybody was walking away, and all of a sudden you hear the crowd start to like erupt, and I turn around. I'm like, holy shit. Pedigreed Roman Reigns in the middle of the ring. That was iconic.
One of the cooler matches I ever saw was Evolution versus The Shield, Extreme Rules 2014, at the Izod Center, like right before it got taken down.
Like at the time, you wouldn't think it was that iconic, but looking back at what those
like
six
how
guys did.
lucky were we to be able to see that? Because now, like, I can barely stomach the product that they put out now. It's no.
Oh my God, Roman Reigns has been champion for over 600 days, dude. He's beaten everyone on the roster.
What was Punk's record? It was like
434. So it's like not even, you can't even compare the two.
That's so dumb.
Even when Lesnar was the champion, it was never showing up.
I was just reading that they still don't have like an official plan for like the undisputed title run. They don't know if they're going to combine both. They don't know if he's going to be on Raw and SmackDown every other week. Like why would you write that as the main event of WrestleMania if you don't know what you're going to do with it after? Like, then why'd you put him over?
I think that they didn't have a strong enough plan for the WWE title picture at WrestleMania, so they're like, we may as well just give it to Brock since we already teased title versus title and hope that it's like the coolest thing ever. And it turned out to be the most lame match on the entire card.
It was like 5 minutes. It was terrible.
It was 5 minutes and it was just a clean match. No twists, no turns, no like surprise appearances, nothing.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. Like I don't watch wrestling consistently anymore, but like I can't help myself. I'm still updated.
So if you were to ever step in the ring, would you train?
Oh yeah. I'm not just getting in there. I don't know how to take a bump. I don't know what I'm doing. But
would you want just like a normal one-on-one match, like normal rules, tag team?
Yeah, match? Like whatever it is. Probably regular stipulations. I'm not stepping in the ring and having like a TLC match. Just not happening.
Are you going to
That's-
get in like insane shape for that?
Do you think like?
Or do you think you could pull off like a certain gimmick where you could just show up as?
The fuck are you trying to say right now?
Just saying, you don't have superstar.
No, I don't look like Roman Reigns. I don't even look like James Ellsworth, but it doesn't matter.
You probably look a little better than James Ellsworth.
I do look better than he was shot, but he pulled it off.
Great
He
guy,
pulled
by the way. Great guy. We gotta have him back on the show.
You should, yeah, you should have him back on the show. I wonder what he's up to these days.
Just doing indie wrestling shows.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but
train,
like
and then
you
we'll reach
said,
out to him and have you booked on a show with him.
Indie wrestlers don't look that great. They never have. And I'm not talking like Ring of Honor. I'm talking about like some random New Jersey high school gym show. You know, I want just one time. I would love. But another thing is, I would also love to cut a promo. So like, maybe I'll just start a pro wrestling career. Maybe I'll just do that.
Well, do stand up first. Get your mic skills down.
I mean,
While you
I'm
train.
I'm used to talking to the crowd when I'm on stage anyway, playing music. So like, I don't have stage fright. Or
Just
anything like
do an
that.
Elias gimmick. Come out there with your guitar. Hit the low E, the E minor.
You see, he just re-debuted as Ezekiel.
Yeah, that's the dumbest thing ever. But they're pairing him with Kevin Owens, so he's gonna make it comedic, which is good.
Yeah, I don't know. I've also thought about going for a writing job for one of those companies. I forget who I was talking to. One of my friends just told me that he has a buddy who just signed with AEW as a writer. I forget who was telling me that.
I wonder what the difference is between writing for WWE and writing for AEW. Like how lenient one is compared to the other.
I think
What the
WWE has
styles
a way bigger agenda than like there's a lot of stuff they want to push, a lot of ideas they want to push. That AEW is more so about the talent. I feel like they tell their guys like your only job is to get over and we'll do the rest. Like they don't have as much character development as WWE does because these guys come in from the indies and they are who they are, which is what I love about AEW, where WWE just like manipulates you and fixes you up to because they think they know what a superstar should be, whereas AEW is these guys are making a name for themselves, which is great. But when it comes to writing, I don't like the AEW storylines aren't that much different than WWE. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
kind of the same ideas. Where it's like heel stabs babyface in the back. Babyface comes after heel. And it's hard to explain because I don't watch it that much, but I feel like the storylines are still kind of generic in both companies.
I think there's been there's been rare occurrences where they've caught us off guard with stuff, like things
Right.
we've never seen before. Like we can pretty much tell like when someone's gonna turn heel or like when something's building.
Exactly. Or
towards something.
like the example I'm thinking of, like regardless if you're watching AEW, WWE, if there's like a faction out in the ring, right? Like a group of 3 guys or whatever, and they attack one other guy, you know there's 2 other dudes are about to come out and like that's just I mean that's all of professional wrestling though. Like there's just certain things that are never going to change, I feel like.
You know what else was a great match that we didn't talk about that's severely underrated? It was John Cena, Brock Lesnar, and Seth Rollins at the Royal Rumble.
The Royal Rumble, that's Mike's favorite match. 2015.
That might be one of the best matches we've ever seen.
That was like what the Phoenix Splash to the announce table or whatever.
And Lesnar was like laid out on the announce table for like probably 30 minutes, and you totally forgot. They did such a good job at making you completely forget that Brock Lesnar was even in the match. And then all of a sudden he came out of nowhere after like the biggest spot in the match, the Phoenix Splash. That was the first time we've ever seen it in WWE when Seth Rollins pulled that out. So like fans didn't even have a millisecond to react to what they just saw because Brock Lesnar stormed the ring and just started suplexing the shit out of everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great match because they didn't obviously towards the end, Lesnar looked super dominant, but they gave so much room for Cena and Rollins to perform, especially Rollins, because that was 2015. That was still like in his first solo run. You know what I mean? Post Shield. So they made him look really strong in that match, which was great. But like, it's just not the same anymore.
No.
I don't know what this whole NXT 2.0 thing is, but I don't like it.
It's 2.0 because Triple H doesn't run it anymore. Vince McMahon runs it.
And that's
So
why
it's
it
lost
sucks.
all of its flair.
Yeah, it's well now it's got like way too much flair. It's like tie-dye themed. What's up with that? Well, I don't want to watch that.
So I'm saying it lost its edge. Now it's like whatever Vince wants to make it, and I just think he's
Vince is so out of touch.
yeah. I didn't want to
He's
say it,
so
but
out
yeah.
of touch. Yeah, I don't know. I hope there's a resurgence of just like quality, good storylines, good wrestlers, good writing. Like Gable Steveson, sure he's an Olympian. I don't think
He doesn't seem like he has like the mic skills or the in-ring skills to be a
he has
pro
no
wrestler.
charisma.
Yeah.
Dude, anybody that steps in the ring for the first time and looks to the crowd and is like, let's go, you don't belong in that ring, dude. You don't belong in the ring. You just don't. I'm sorry. You don't belong in the ring. Hopefully he proves me wrong, but I just don't think he's got it. Same thing with Chad Gable. Chad Gable, now obviously he's got his whole gimmick. I forget what his catchphrase is, whatever he does. That took him how many years to develop? Like, he's never going to win a singles title. I don't care that he won a gold medal. Like, he just doesn't have, he can't get over. If you can't get over, like, I don't care.
I think he's finally gotten over for like his role as like a tag team superstar. Because I
Yeah,
think
but
what's his new? It's
Did he
like
get over because he's entertaining, or did he get over because he's just been a mainstay for the past?
kind of like how
the-
Baron Corbin eventually got over.
Yeah, and he went through so many different character changes. What happened to him? He's not even on TV anymore.
Oh, he faced Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even know that.
See, that's how irrelevant he is. But like, there's a few guys that, like Roman Reigns, like they just forced him down everybody's throats for like 6-7 years there, and now
Still
he's
doing
finally
it.
at a he's finally at a point where I legitimately think people like him.
Yeah, no, I don't think like people hate him because he's getting booed for all the right reasons. I think he's a successful heel, definitely. But I think he's so hated that like he couldn't be a babyface again. Like, do you think he could be a successful babyface? Or people would just be like, this is like, all right. Like after this tribal chief stuff, like they're gonna have to put somebody else on top. Somebody has to take him down. Like he can't just be the face of the company until he retires. Like what?
He's beaten everyone on the roster though. Like, I think he's facing Shinsuke Nakamura now at the next pay-per-view, and like Shinsuke
Which is
Nakamura is like
not gonna happen. Everybody knows that's not gonna happen. If anyone's gonna beat him, it's gonna be Cody. If anyone's gonna beat him, and Cody's already voiced that that's the only reason why he's back.
right, and they're gonna build up to that match. I just don't. I don't think they're unifying the titles. I think he's just holding both right now, and they're kind of determining like what they're gonna do, like you said, with both. So I could see him.
They're gonna have
I could
to-
see Cody beating him for the WWE title, and then him holding on to the Universal title until he faces Rock probably at Mania next year.
That'd be terrible. I was thinking they at least have to wait until Money in the Bank because there's gonna have to be two different Money in the Bank winners, right?
They probably will just have one again. That's going to be at Allegiant Stadium this year. That's going to be a stadium pay-per-view.
It's interesting how they're doing more and more stadium pay-per-views, but like I feel like their ratings are way down. So I don't know how they're doing all these because they put out so many leaked photos of the past couple Raws. The camera side of the arenas are like completely closed off. They're really only selling seats on one side of the arena now.
Yeah, I didn't realize how bad that was until we actually like started going to events. I'm like, oh, they market it so well because one side is all the fans and the other side is completely tarped off.
Yeah, when we went to that SmackDown at the Prudential Center, the whole upper deck was blocked off, which is sad because they used to just sell out those arenas like it was nothing. That first Raw we went to, it was sold out. I remember that.
There were a few
Completely.
good ones early on, like again that Punk era, like after the summer of Punk 2012, 2013, And then I want to say around 2016, like we were complaining around 2016, 2017, but that's when Jericho and Owens had their whole thing. After like 2018 and beyond, it's been bad. Like
I
really
think
bad.
2018, that SmackDown we went to at the Prudential Center, that picture that Hank put up, I think that was after I like stopped. I wasn't like invested anymore, but I went to that event and I went to a couple others. But I think 2018 was the year that like they lost me because I was just done complaining, but still watching every week because it was just terrible. So I just stopped watching.
I think I remember Mike specifically when he stopped watching. You remember when he specifically stopped watching? Because Mike was such a big Brock Lesnar fan, and he's legitimizing the WWE. Former UFC heavyweight champion, former NCAA wrestling champion. Like, nobody could take this guy down. And then after like a 16-year layoff, they brought in Bill Goldberg to face Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series, and he squashed him in 90 seconds.
Yeah, Mike was like, I'm done.
Just like so like Goldberg, like he was in decent shape, but like he was like 55 years old. Like there's no way he could have taken Lesnar down in his prime like that.
And he looked so unathletic in the ring, and he was slow. It was bad.
And then he beat him again at the Royal Rumble. So Mike was just like, "Fuck this! Like this is unbelievable what they're doing here."
It's terrible.
But do you think it would just be a one-off match that you'd want to do in wrestling? Or do you think you'll get hooked after one match and be like, "Oh, this is fun"?
You never know, but all I know is that one day for sure I would just love to step in the. I've always dreamt of stepping in the ring. I remember one time you and Megan walked out on me pretending to like make my entrance in like the front yard, and I like looked up and you guys were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm wrestling for the title at Mania." Yeah, it
All
was
by
so
yourself.
embarrassing. But I've always dreamt of like stepping through the curtain, making an entrance, and just having a match, dude. I want to do it so bad. I'm 20 years old and I haven't given up on it. I still want to do it.
That'd be a lot of fun. Have you been open to doing any open mic nights out there? Because they're probably
comedy?
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously right now my mind is more focused on music than anything, but yeah, definitely. Connor Jenkins is home, and he's been doing open mic nights in the city.
Right. So like, get some open mic, especially right now when you can't like really focus on music a whole lot.
Exactly.
Take the time to do that.
Like,
Get up there, fail once. The first time you get up there is
material.
not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun, especially in like New York City or New Jersey. I can't imagine
Definitely
doing stand-up
not. I
there.
know that, but that's all part of it. I want to bomb. I would love to bomb. I think that's all part of it. I would love to look back and be like, wow, not a single person laughed. That's awesome. But I mean, that's all part of it. To like stand up there and like build up a joke, hit the punchline, and it's like followed by silence. And you're just like, all right.
I know you worked so hard on your set too, and you're just like, oh my god, that didn't hit. Like if that one didn't hit, the rest of these aren't gonna hit. But I got to go through it now.
Yeah, you just got to do it. Yeah, I want to do that. I just want to experience that.
We'll book a show soon. Like literally look online and go to open mic nights and figure out a bar that you can do it at.
Yeah.
You literally sign up probably any night of the week.
Yeah. They're literally every night. Every night. I just got to build up the courage to just go up there and do it. I don't know what I'm gonna say, dude. I don't have any jokes written down.
It's not hard. It's not hard. Literally just engage with the audience. That's what I did the first time. I just talked to the audience the entire time.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably but yeah, who knows? But I definitely want to do that. I want to do when typical open mics, what is it, 5 minute set?
Yeah.
Or less. 5 minutes? Okay.
It goes by so quick if you know what you're doing. It goes by so long. Does not go by at all if you have no idea what you're doing.
I would
Don't
want
lose
to
your
get
train of
Brandon
thought when you're up there either. I did that one time.
What?
Don't lose your train of thought. Just stick to what you were going to talk about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely want to do that. You know, there's footage of John Mayer doing stand-up at the Laugh Factory, and he's just bombing so hard. But even he said, he was like, I'm happy I did it. Obviously, comedy's not my thing, but at least I tried. Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely going to do that. Who knows if I'll ever actually step into a ring? I want to so bad, but you never know.
I'd want to be like a commentator for a pro wrestling organization, and then just like get like slammed through the
You
announce
could
table. or
definitely do,
something.
dude. You could get a job with like AEW doing that, 100%. Like at least starting at like a backstage interviewer, you could 100% do that. You got the chops for that. I don't, but you could definitely do that if you wanted it, or a writing job or whatever. I'm pretty sure Michael Cole started off in like the early '90s as a writer, and then eventually worked his way up, and now he's Michael Cole.
Dude, I find it so fascinating how Michael Cole's been there for like 25 years, with Vince McMahon just chewing him out.
I
in his
know
ear for
everybody
25
talks
years.
about like Cena and The Rock being like the biggest kiss asses. I could only imagine how Michael Cole is.
But like I've talked to certain commentators who have worked in that circle, being like, dude, Vince is in your ear all the time. Like I
Yeah.
could only imagine Michael Cole being like the voice of the WWE. Like how much
Well,
pressure
really
there
just
is on a
depends,
daily
yeah.
basis with him in your ear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's who are the I think there's what, 3 guys. There's Vince, Michael Hayes, and I guess Hunter probably, right? Those are the 3 guys in your ear.
Michael Hayes.
He sucks, yeah. He sucks. He sucks. But yeah, those are the 3 guys. Hunter, Vince, and Michael Hayes are in Pat McAfee's ear every night.
I can only
That's just-
imagine like him starting out, like him just being Pat McAfee, the person, how they reacted to him. Obviously,
Yeah,
over time they
he
realized he's
still-
over as hell, but
He still holds on to his personality on SmackDown. He's still like himself.
that's
to
what
a
I'm
degree.
saying. Like he is like such a huge personality. I'm stunned that they kind of adapted to his style, because that was like so
know,
not WWE for so long when it came to
Well,
the
for whatever
commentators.
reason, Vince McMahon saw him do his thing, and he was like, "It's money in the bank right there." For whatever reason, Vince has a weird eye and a weird ear for things. That's why the product is so weird, and that's why fucking Pat McAfee is a full-time commentator. Like, it's so bizarre the direction that WWE has taken recently. But I guess it's working for them. I don't know if it's working for all the fans. It's not working for me, but
What do you got
Yeah.
going on the rest of the day?
I got an Antioch meeting at 7.
All right,
That's
well, I'll let you get to that. We'll wrap this one up because I don't know, like you have like a half an hour, Robin, before you have another show. So we got that. Thanks for coming on though. That's a last minute resort.
Yeah, let's do it again real soon.
Let's do it literally whenever you're free. We'll
Yeah,
actually have
alright.
like an agenda of things that we can talk about moving forward.
No, well, either way, this is still better than our first podcast. I'll tell you that much right now.
We've come a long way since that episode. I think that was legitimately 18 minutes of just sheer, just awkward silence. Like, oh, Yankees,
That was
2-game
only
winning
8
streak, right?
Minutes. I thought we were sitting down there for like 3 hours.
I did feel like 3 hours. I think it was like a 21-minute episode.
That's funny.
Beats being in the basement.
It does beat being in the basement. Not the worst setup in the world, but this definitely beats
aw-
that.
For a first podcast ever, that was quite the setup.
We've come a long way. That was episode 1. This was episode 509 of the podcast. Again, we are presented by Mayweather Boxing and Fitness in Scottsdale. Sell me the hat, Declan. Sell me the hat.
I love you, bro.
Hank, hit the lights.